In a world where Africans have lost their roots, it has become of vital importance to document our ways. In an effort to reverse the brainwashing of the past, where we were made to believe our ways are demonic, we are pressed to create dignified and respectful platforms to unpack our spiritual ways.
Moya light, Moya bright. Welcome back, everybody, to another exceptional episode of Moya. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for your contributions. The reason we're sitting here and having episodes is because you guys are doing the things. Thank you so much. As usual, the bank details are on screen, so please continue so that we at least have a year's worth of episodes. As you know, on Sundays, we drop the Moya spirituality episodes, and then they're the surprise political drops during the week. Trying to keep it exciting, so I don't want to give you guys too many details. I just want us to be, So today's episode is very, very special, and I hope that you've got your boxes of tissues next to you because we want you to go to the process. We want you to confront the issue. We want us to do some kind of healing. Today's episode, we are going to talk about grief and bereavement and what happens to the people that we love when they leave this planet, and how do we communicate with them, and how do we deal with the soreness that they've left behind? We have one of our usual Moya teachers from our first episode of Moya, so you know we're on the right track. Gogo, Celi, Stewart, thank you so, so much, as usual. Togoza, Gogo. Thank you for always being so generous with your spirit and your gift to the channel, and for looking after it, and for always giving us advice on what to do. We really appreciate you.
I actually appreciate you because I'm actually appreciating what I'm saying. The growth has been amazing. I like seeing you light because you are so light. And like I was saying, is the reason you're so light is because you share. You don't bottle things up inside you. You share them, and as you share, that access therapy for you. And it's one of the things I think that will come up as we take on this conversation further, because grief is actually about that, about a place where we are heavy and we're wanting to lead to light, where we're going to be light, because grief is heavy.
It is heavy.
And then we carry heavily.
Yes.
And as long as we don't have appropriate measures in place to help us deal with it, then we become very heavy, and it takes very long to get to a point where we are light again, where we're able to start living again. Because when we're heavy and we're remaining we're holding things in, we're not moving. We become stagnant because of the heaviness. It's not just Moya that is heavy. We become heavy ourselves.
We actually get stuck, right? So what is happening inside kind of translates in like your own life. I mean, I don't want to get too personal and center myself, but I know that I'm going through a very big breakthrough with my own mother's death, which was a big, big, big sore for most of my life. You know, I lost my mother at 11 years old, and I never got a chance to grieve. And there's this thing where you've got to be strong and pretend as if you're not affected. But actually, my mom was the most important thing and the most magical thing that ever happened to me in my life. And I lost her. And then I just had to continue with my life. And I've only come to terms with it now at 43. At 43 last year was when I was like, oh my God, I've been mad at you for 30 years for leaving me. I haven't been speaking to you for 30 years.
Yeah. Losing a mother is, I think, one of the hardest things to happen to anybody or anyone that has to deal with. A dad, yes, we speak about parents and we try not to compare. But the place of a mother is something else, because you live inside your mom. So your mom, not only are you her heart, but you also are, she's a big part of you.
She's your universe.
Yes, because that is where you lived. So now having that ripped off you at an early age also is really traumatic. But you can imagine that it does not even stop. At my big age, I still don't want to lose my mom. It's one of the things that I count as my blessings every day, is the fact that I still have a mother. So yeah, you went through a lot, and I can understand the anger, because in that time, at that age, you don't even know what it is that is expected of you. You don't know how to map your life going forward, because your universe is gone. So what is this that you are now doing? So basically, you're just fumbling, and you're just waking up, because the world doesn't stop when you
Yeah.
lose somebody.
Yes.
The world keeps going. The sun keeps rising, and you think, and
People
you
keep laughing.
Yes, life keeps going on, and you have just lost this big thing, this person,
Right.
and you're thinking life should have stopped. And because yours has really literally just stopped, you have to relearn now to live in this world without this person, and that takes. It takes some time to actually be able to do that, and life doesn't give you that opportunity to wait. It doesn't wait with you. Life keeps going on. The sun keeps coming out. The cars, you see, the traffic keeps happening. People are going to work, and you're thinking, how is this even possible? Because you cannot even put a foot in front of the other.
People are posting on their statuses. Everybody's happy. People are joking.
In that time, you can't even make yourself a cup of tea.
You can't breathe.
Yes, because what is this? What has just happened? So, and it's really not just about just losing our mothers, but that is the biggest blow I think that could happen to anyone, is losing a
losing
mother.
your someone you love.
Yes, because that is also losing yourself. When you lose your mom, you lose a big part of yourself, because that is how you actually reference yourself.
Navigate life.
This is who you are, and this is how you're going to find your way. So with your mom gone, how then do you keep going? What is your map? You now need to remap. Because at that point with your mom, if you find that a lot of the time we don't even need a map, because she's right there, and she's mapping for us until we get to a point where now she sits us down and she says, okay, this is where we are at now. We need to figure out a way forward, and it's now about you. It's not really about me. But a lot of the time we plan the foundation of our children. We decide whether they're going to go to school. We decide if we're going to homeschool, which is something that I hope at some point we will speak about, because that is a big part of what should happen.
Yes.
That is the foundational stage of our children's lives, and that is where we need to be more involved. But life now makes us delegate that to the teachers, to the schooling system, and we don't have that time with our children where we're actually responsible for mapping their direction. And so when you lose a mom, you've lost that immediately, and so now you have to find somebody else who does not have that best interest at heart, your best interest at heart. So now you have somebody else that is not mapping for you, that is just doing what needs to be done. And life takes a different turn that it would have if mommy was still here. And then you say that in your anger, you only started now speaking to her. It's also because we don't know how to speak to our dead people. We are not taught that. We are taught that they go to heaven. We are taught that you wait until you also go to heaven. That's when you're going to meet again, and that is how we were brought up because of colonialism and Christianity. I don't want to call it religion, but just specifically Christianity, because that is where a lot of us went. And we are not taught how to have a relationship with our loved ones who have passed on. We are taught that, if anything, we're taught that they are demonic, and wanting to have a relationship with them is demonic. It is going to keep you from getting to heaven, where you are actually now going to meet them again. So what are you going to do? You want to meet your parents again. You want your loved ones again. So you sit back and you don't do anything. Where our spirituality is beautiful, because nobody goes away. I just lose my body, but my spirit remains. The spirit will always be alive, and that is what it teaches. And that is beautiful, because it also encourages that relationship with our ancestors, because our ancestors in any case live within us. When I am alive, this blood, the Bible will say the blood speaks. And I take that on, because the blood speaks. Without the blood, I don't know who I am. The blood is what makes me who I am. And in my blood, there are those ancestors. So those people make up who I am. They're a big part of who I am. And so that is my life. So the communication is continuous because they live within me. They live in my blood. They live in we share spirit. There's so much that is actually going on. And with our spirituality, if we can take it on and we teach our children, we will, and yes, loss will be difficult. Yes, loss will continue to be painful. Yes, we are still going to grieve because we need to stand back and understand what has actually happened and then be able to take that up and be able to lift ourselves up. And to be lifted up, we rely heavily on the spirits that have actually gone, or the bodies that have actually gone, the people that have actually gone. As long as we embrace them, our grief will be shorter, I believe.
Yes.
We should be able to then get up quicker and be able to find and see the light quicker and sooner.
Yes.
If we can just embrace that, and leave and be able to understand that I can actually still communicate with these people. And this is what I do, and find the ways that work. And because I know how, I'm going to just speak about my brother here. I know how my relationship with my brother was special, and I know how we communicated. I know this person. I knew his struggles. I knew what made him happy. So those things can't stop making him happy. He may not be able to access them now, some of them that are physical things, but that I can still offer those things to him. So when I speak with my brother, depending on what it is, it doesn't mean each time it has to be ceremonial but I can choose to make it ceremonial because I want to, because I feel like it, and I want to make him happy. I want him to, if I want to get him the beer that he liked, so now I can actually go and do that. But also it doesn't mean that if I'm sitting with family or with friends and they're doing what they're doing, I cannot open a glass or a bottle and for him. In that time, I don't drink beer, but he loved beer. He loved whiskey. I can get a glass. It's not for me, it is for him. So there's no big me sitting in a corner or sitting in a MSAMO because I'm going to be speaking to my brother. I will do it in that social event, and I will just channel him and bring him aboard and say, this is what is going on, this is for you. So it makes things lighter for me. It makes things also lighter for him wherever he is, because this spirit lives on. He was not just my brother. He was also a father. He was a husband. He was a son. He was all sorts of other things. And if I can keep his spirit happy, keep him alive, then it benefits everybody else. It's not just for me. I mean, I always say to my daughter about Jesus Christ and everybody on Sunday going to the churches to speak about Jesus, that Jesus died. If this guy that we call Jesus, that guy died, and that guy was buried, and in his death, the story says then he rose again and he ascended to heaven. I'm not going to dispute that, but that guy he went to heaven, but he died. Excuse me, and he is an ancestor. And everybody goes to church. He is an ancestor to his people, the people that he shares blood with, that is how you can be an ancestor. And he goes, and everyone goes to church on Sunday, everyone from all over the world, everyone on this one day, everyone is praying to this Jesus Christ. Everybody is calling on this guy. All sorts of rituals and ceremonies are happening in the churches, because that is what it is. It's a whole ceremony to speak to this one person and to hear from this one person, through a pastor, a reverend, a mfundisi, through whatever. But that is what is being done. Yes. It's a whole ceremony. And so we keep all of those people, keep that spirit alive. Keep that give Jesus power. We make Jesus alive. We give that. So yes, he will be powerful because he's given that. Because we have hundreds and thousands of people at any given point speaking up to this person. Imagine on a Sunday how many people are doing that. In every hour, at least 100,000 people are calling to Jesus Christ. An hour also is actually even just, it's big. But that is what is happening. So that spirit of that person, whether he will then answer your prayers or the prayers of the people that are his people, is something else. but we keep that spirit alive. And that is what we owe to our people. That is what we should be doing to our own loved ones, for our own loved ones, and for ourselves. Keep them alive. Keep them alive in that way. Speak to them. I'm not saying we don't worship our ancestors. We do not. We revere them. We honor them. And that is what this is about. This is the same thing that is being done to Jesus. It's just said that people were taught that doing the same thing for our people is a sin or is sinful. That is a pity, because it really is about giving them that lao mandla lao to keep them alive. We keep them present. Not that we want to hang on to them, but we do have them because they are in our blood in any case.
Yes.
So let's do what we can to make them and to make our blood flow easier and lighter, to make them, to allow them to carry us, and so that we also carry them, because we don't know what happens that side. They also need our support in as much as we need their support. So this whole Mpahlo thing is not just about them. It's not just about us asking for things, wanting support. It's also about us supporting them, because we don't know what is happening that side. We don't know how we can best support them. So we support them in the best way we know how. That we are here. I'm here for you. I will give you the things that I knew you liked this side, that gave you strength, that made you keep going this side. I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to hold space for you this side. And that is what we do when we speak to, when we want our loved ones and we honor our loved ones. It's a space that should not be something that waits for a calling. But there are those of us who also are just called to keep our people alive. You know, some people will go on to Twasa or to initiate, and they don't understand why there are no people coming for healing in the Ndumbas. It's because that's not what the calling is about. The calling maybe for you it was really about doing the things themsamo yasekhaya to help those to kuvusa sibaya sasekhaya, kuvusa umsamo wasekhaya, kutoqhubeka, so that there's progress again in the family, because of the time that we have not had, or they have not had anyone do rituals, do anything ceremonial, do anything for them. A small thing like libation. There's been times with long periods where that has died, and we find a makaya that we are makaya misamo iwile, and our children are, us being the children, then our children are living, are finding that life is so much more difficult than it should be, because we don't have the people that are in our spirits. We have let them die, and we are praying to Jesus. We have not only, because it actually is a total irresponsibility. Yes, they have passed on, their bodies have passed on, but we have the responsibility to help keep their spirits going. And if we don't do that, we have actually done ourselves an injustice. Not just them, but we've done ourselves an injustice, because they live in us. They live within us. We are them. There's no separation. As long as we continue to share blood and we share DNA, we are in this together. That's the one thing that I think is most important, that we should actually get. Because when we get that, then it becomes easier for us to actually do what we need to do. And we do it easily. And it's not a burden. We know that it can't be a sin, because this is what we are called to do. And that is where I really hope the people that have found ukuthi batwasile and nothing is happening towards patients coming into Ndumba, and consider that's what it's about. Stop and work with your people. And when they are ready, then you may also then open up and get the other things that you're actually wishing for. Because this life is not just about our ancestors. Even as we take on Umsebenzi Madlozi, we're still a big part of this life. This is my life. You have lived, and I will sit there back and tell Simenjalo that you have lived, dude. You have lived, and I am doing so much. I'm doing my best to accommodate you. But there's also Celukolo here, so we need to be able to give each other room. So there's a big part of me that still I need to also live my life. I also have my purpose. My purpose is not wrapped up in yours. That was a call that I answered to, but my purpose is still my purpose, and maybe that is part of my journey that leads me to, or that is part of my purpose. But I came here not to do you. I came here to do myself, and that is another thing that we as Bangoma need to actually get, that we still have our own lives. We still have our lives. So sometimes it's okay, put that body down. Get out there, and you've done what you needed to do. Get out there, make sure that you keep this relationship going. That yes, I went on and I have this covenant with my ancestors that I will do for you, But there's also myself. But so don't stop. Find now your purpose and do the things that you need to do for yourself. And somewhere the purpose needs to intertwine, needs to link somewhere.
So can you tell us a little bit how, from the beginning of the grief process, the pain, what do we do with the pain? How do we make sense of it? What is it spiritually? What's going on? And how do we manage, or do we transmute it, or do we feel it? How are we supposed to be in that space?
We don't actually do anything with the pain. We don't, because there's nothing that we can do with the pain. The pain will be there. We just need to learn more than anything to flow. Like water. If it's we need to flow. We need to take life as it comes, because a lot of the things we can't do anything about, especially that one thing where the passing away of a person is going to happen to all of us. We're going to experience loss, and we are also going there. So when the pain comes, we really need to sit with it. It's also a time for you to, because you know about seasons. When you've lost somebody, it's dark. You need to sit in that darkness and wait for and find ways to feel around the darkness, to find the candle, the matches. How do I put this light back on? But if we don't sit with it, it's going to cripple us. Then we become totally different people. Yes, death will change us. Experiencing death will change us. I'm not the same person I was before I lost my father, before I lost my children, before I lost my brother, before I lost the people that I have lost. Those people continue to live on. I find also I'm one person that just never really gets over it. I never get over any death. It's I learn to move on, but I never get over it. I will still cry about my mom, Kulu, who died when I was 17. It's still so real to me. So and I will wake up on that day, and the whole day is just a mess, and then it goes on to a week, and it's not that life is not going on, but I am at a point where I am grieving again. So we don't actually really get over it. So we need to. For me, the most important thing is not allowing it to make me a hard person. I should be able to live with it. I should be able to take what I need to take and the lessons that I need to take from it, and be able to learn how then we deal with loss, because loss is continuous, and the biggest things that we're going to lose in life, yes, is our loved ones. So if we have lost our loved ones, every other loss also becomes, if we learn our lessons there, everything else becomes nothing. You know that I can start again tomorrow. I can pick that up again tomorrow. As long as I have not, it's not life that is lost. That is why also you hit my car, but you're okay. I'm not going to focus on the car. Mine is about the life, that we still have this life. These things are not, we can't grieve these things. So losing life makes us do that. So living with the pain, or initially when the loss happens, our spirituality, or even our culture, which actually our culture extends into our culture, into our spirituality, we sit down. Kuyavalwa ekhaya gogo makushoniwe. Bantu labashonelwe. We even have a way, because when they go out into public areas, into public spaces, we were able to identify that this person has just lost somebody. That's why bekuzilwa it doesn't need ukuthi nyalo kugqokwa black clothes and that's why a widow would be dressed in black or in however way the culture works. In some cultures it was grass because we just moved on as gufika fabrics and things like that. But there was always been a way to be able to identify that this person is experienced a loss. There's been a death, and it's not everybody that will wear that. It's the people that are close to the person that has passed on. And it was not just, we like to say that in our wokeness now, wokeness is okay, but we take it overboard. In our wokeness now, we say it's to discriminate and why is a widow dressed in that way and people should be able to choose. Yes, people should be able to choose, but there was a reason for it, and there still is a reason for it. Because if I see, even on the road, if I see a woman wearing her black or is in black, and I can tell that this woman is widowed, because we can wear black, but there's also a way in which you present as a widow. If I see that, I will treat you differently. I will even stop and give you a ride. I will give up my chair for you if we are sitting in a. Do you understand? It's not just I'm honoring your loss. I'm honoring your pain. I'm honoring the person that has actually passed on. I'm honoring the space that you are in that time. So that there's a reason for so many things. So when we're slowly losing a lot of our spirituality in the culture and in the way that we are living, in the way that we're trying to be woke. So that is how we would know how to deal with grief. We know, my knowing that my also being able to accept and know. I know at a point in my culture, young children would cut off their hair.
Yeah.
And shave. It's a proper shaving. I know the widows will shave, the widowers shave, but with the widow you will shave and then still wear your duke, that was a thing. That was a sign. It's shown to. Guzila. What is guzila in English?
Grieve.
It's the same. It's the same word.
It's the same.
Guzila. Guzila. That word also speaks to.
Also,
gutila.
English is not as deep as
it
ours.
Can't be.
Because there's actually no process for guzila in English, right?
I go for it because it speaks to mangtilile. Gutila speaks to sitting down. Sitting down physically, sitting down ngokomoya. There's things that I'm not going to do. And if now you are able to see that this is where I'm at, there's things that you're not going to expect of me because you know what I'm going through, because you have also gone through it, because we've all lost. You know what I'm going through. So there's expectations that you would expect of the next person that you're not going to have of me. And if you do, you will quickly be able to revisit that hell no, I'm not being fair. What is going on? This person utilile at this point. Umoya wake is this is where they are at ngomoya. This is where they are at physically. So I know that I have an idea of what is going on there. So that is how we grieve. But now we have, because of the way that we live, people need to be able to get back to work. People need to be able to. That is why it is important that we actually educate, even that the awareness should be there.
Yeah.
That this is how we treat a person that is grieving, or there's all these measures in place. There's wellness, what is in the corporate space, and
because we used to take like 3 months, 6 months.
And now this person needs to come back to that space because this is what needs to happen.
It's corporate.
Yes. And it's okay that, I'm at a point where I'm not fighting where we're at because we can't fight it. It's progressive where there's no ways we're going to go back. And there's no reason to go back. But what we want is to bring back the good, to bring the good from the back with us as we go forward in however way we go, So those are the things that we need to be able to be mindful of, even though the corporate spaces, even in us as we live our lives, and in dealing with each other, we need to be mindful of things like that. That grief is grief is a place that humbles, or that it not only just humbles me, but it humbles my spirit. I can't move on. And now in the spaces that we are in, that's where we find that we get antidepressants. Now we get, because in that compromises the grief process, because we need to feel it. That is why then you're going to be angry later on as well. That is why you're going to find that you're crippled later on as well. That is why you find that now you are on drugs because of the loss as well, because you were given a drug to deal with your loss. So you didn't really quite go through all of the grief stages as they've been laid out for us. You didn't quite go through all of them. So it's important to go through it so that we are able to move on. Unless we do, with each person that we lose, we are not going to be able to move on. If we disrupt that grief process, we're going to have to deal with it later on. And that is what we are finding. That is why a lot of our children are on drugs. That is why a lot of adults are on drugs. Because what do? We don't have the time. That's another thing, to be dealing with you. Because yes, I'm also grieving. As a family, I'm also grieving. You are grieving. So how then do I help you? How do I assist you? So what do I do with my brother's child? I take them to a psychologist. What does a psychologist do? They we give them a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and a prescription is made, and we get the drugs. And it's because life does not allow us now to deal and deal with our pain and live and help each other. Life needs to go on. So people need to go back to school. People need to go back to work. So yeah, we are going to go and find an intervention. And that is not natural. It's not a natural process. How we grieve now, there's nothing natural about it.
Some of the rituals that we do you know what some of them mean or what they stand for? Like, why would you sit on a mattress, and why do we cut our hair?
Okay, I'm not going to say that things are backward, because our people had their reasons. You know, when there's a big change in your life, I'll speak about women. You will see a woman, when a woman wants to shed off the past of whatever is happening in a relationship, in romantic relationships, and she's been with this man and things have happened, but when she's ready to start over, they normally cut their hair. They will shave their hair off. That is a symbolism to leaving behind and starting over. And that is how I would liken that to. We say, okay, we're starting over. It's a new life. We need to shed that. And that is how I would explain it, you know. And the sitting down is kutila, is it symbolizes the point of your life where you're at, because when you're grieving, your spirit is really also down. It is down. So kutila kuhlala phasi, and mangihleti phasi thina vele besihlala phasi nje originally, and that is where we ground. That is where we get our grounding. So that is a good place to be able to get back, to help you to get back up. If I'm grounding, I will be able to stand back stronger, because I've taken a mandla from Lapo Pass. That is why I always speak about kukuca, how people have issues go kukucela or gobela ababo or kukucela abo, whoever. I mean, I will go to anyone. I love kukuca because I know what I'm picking up from that floor, from that ground. When I go down on my knees, so if I'm grounding, I'm going to get strength to be able to rise again. So sitting down for me, that is that's where I will sit in any case, in any given opportunity. I'll sit on the floor. That is my favorite place to sit. It's also about the grounding. It was not a thing that I chose. I found that is what it was for me. But I learned what it is, why I need to sit on the floor. Because some of us needed to be more grounded than others. Some people don't need the grounding. And they find that they live their lives up here. I need that grounding. And if you are not able to get that grounding, kuba we have all these elements and we need all of them for a reason. There's natural elements. We need all of those elements for a reason. So I can't, there's no ways you can, you need to buya phansi. And that is, I think that is really critical in our understanding of why sihlaliswa phansi. And it should not be, I'm all for, it should not be go to hlalisiwe. You should be able to choose this. This is what I want to do. And you can choose, you can only choose it if you know what it is about. You will choose it if you know what it will do for you. So those are the things that we would then be speaking about. We go to, why are we doing these things? Why were our ancestors do? Why did our ancestors do these things? Why do we bring them? Why are they part of our culture? And also, as we lose ourselves to modernity, let's not lose ourselves. Let's not lose everything.
So now I want to move on to dreams and how we connect to abantu abadala. I mean, I said this earlier on, and I'm sorry to center myself again, but this topic is a huge topic for me in my life, and it's had so much impact. You know, everything is based on my mother's death, literally. So with the dream space, when my mother died, when she would come visit me, I would start crying and telling everybody that, no, guys, you see, she's still alive. I told you guys, look, guys, Mama's still alive. And I'd be weeping. And then she'd look at me like, no, Danam, it's not like that, actually. And you could just see her face going, no, babe. Like, we can't keep doing this. Like, every time she would come, then I'd wake up with the pillow wet because I'm crying. And I'm just like, no, but she's alive, you know? So this happened for many years. And then eventually, I didn't see my mother anymore in my dreams. But then there was this woman who lived in this hut where she's selling like African artifacts. And this woman is always in my dreams. And she was somebody that I just always go and ask things for. She'd be like, okay, I need this. Oh, okay. Do you know where to go? You know, it was one of those. It took me years to realize when I started doing the healing work last year, I was like, that's Mama. And I realized that she had to change herself to be able to engage me because I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And only now she comes into my dreams. Like after in the past 6 months, now she comes as herself. And now I understand. Now it's all good. And she comes regularly and we are cool now. And so what is this thing about the dream space?
Yeah, the dream space is actually quite deep because in the dream space, you know that we are creators. We as long as we have breath, this breath is God. So we hold God within us, all of us. And so we are creators. And in the dream space, it is us creating also subconsciously. The dream space is deep in that way. I'll bring it to how you had now this woman that you would go to in this heart, and you figure out now that that woman is your mom. You'd go to get directions for whatever, instructions for things. We create that. We are creators. So so your mom, because spirit is a shapeshifter.
Yes.
So your mom saw that okay, this is how it's going to have to work with my child. But we also create it because you have the questions. So you need to ask. I don't have my mom, but I need to be speaking to my mom about things. Even as you are not consciously doing it, but the questions are there, and these questions would be going to your mother. So they are being asked. The reality is being lived. So that then presents itself in the dream as an answer to your question, or as a solution to whatever you need to, as a possible solution to whatever it is that you are going through. The dream space is tricky because in the dream space we can actually create things, and that is where we need also to be able to sit down with a healer. That's why we find that we go through and we sit with healers, dream interpreters and things like that to make sense of our dreams. But in that space, I will tell you that all of it is mainly created by you. I said to you, your ancestors live within you. They are in your blood. They are with you. You are one. So that is how they're going to communicate with you. It doesn't need to be fetched from many places. It's how they're going to communicate with you. So all of it happens within you and without, because of Moya.
Yes.
Moya brings us the messages that we need to get, Gogo. It doesn't matter in what form or shape, the message will get to you. So if the message is to get to you in a dream way, in a dream form, that is how it's going to get. But that is how Moya works. Moya, people will say, people will sit in a room and discuss you and they think you're not going to know. If Moya wants you to know, you will know.
Yeah.
You not only do you have the sudden knowledge or the download, as I like to call them downloads, where it's just a knowing and you don't know how you know. Moya will find a way to bring it to you through a person in a physical way. That, oh, no, you know what, they were sat there discussing you. But yes, I know, but this is what was being said, and you didn't ask for it. But Moya will work its way to bring it to you. Sometimes you will get that message in a dream. You will be find yourself part of that table that they were sitting at when they were talking about you. And you're suddenly there. It's something that has already happened. But now you're sitting in that so that you can get that message. Now that is now happening in a dream form. But how does that happen? I cannot sit here and say, I know. All I know is that we are creators. We have God within us.
What do you think happens when, because some people who've lost loved ones say sometimes like they'll see their loved ones for a split second, like they'll be turning in bed and then they see their mother or their child, or, you know?
Or you just see them and they're there.
Yes.
And then you get used to living with the different presences of people, because spirit will show itself to people that it's comfortable with. If spirit is comfortable with you, spirit will come and they will. But they also need to figure out, it's a way that they also have to figure out a way in which to present themselves in the side, because they've lost the body. So that is why it's also important for us to be able to do the work that we do for them. We should be able to still honor them. We should be, because that's where we started with being able to assist them even on that side, because we don't know what they need. You know, so the more work that we do, they're also able to do what they need to do. And if they need to be able to come through, if we're doing the work that we need to do, then we give them that strength, that support for them to be able to come through. Not just through a medium, but also be able to just come through and be a presence that we can actually see. But we are able to see them if they allow us to see them. And there needs to be some kind of level of lightness even in yourself.
Yeah.
And also a level of knowing how to deal with the dead when they present themselves. Because not all of us are able to do that.
Yeah, because that's why they don't show them. So that's some scary.
Yes. Now, the first time I had an acknowledgement of seeing a vision of a person that is gone was my daughter. She was hopping in front of me and I was walking. All the way in Manchester, this child was suddenly, I'm walking, it's a hike. And here is this child and I'm thinking, am I saying right? And I also knew that I can't share with these people because they're going to think I'm crazy and all of them are white. I couldn't wait to get home to my daughter that I could share with. And from that, or then on, things changed for me. My life took a totally different direction, and this is where I am. And dealing with spirits that have moved on is not scary for me. I'm happy. It's my happy zone. I actually invite them. I want to invite my people that have passed on. I have ways. If I want to speak to my dad, I can do that. I know how to do that because because of the work that I do. So we've created this relationship, or I've worked on this relationship. We've worked on this relationship, and we have it. So it's a way of. It's in the way that we live our lives. It's in the way that we live. It's in the way that we honor them. It's in the things that we do on a daily. It's in the way that in the way, because like I said, it's not all ritualistic. It's just about keeping the connection going. If you're happy with me, if you're connected and you know that I can, whatever it is, I can go and communicate through that one, it will get to where the message will get to where it needs to get to. They're going to present themselves to you, or they're going to present themselves to me. So it's a space. It's a space in which we actually keep ourselves. That's why I said to you, I like that you are light. You keep sharing because you are light. The lighter you are, the more messages are going to come through to you. Because you need to be a certain level of light.
Yeah.
That is how, because they are light, they're spirit. This is dense. This holds us down. So they are spirit. And if you can, it's like being in love. You see, when you fall in love, you see how light you are. Spirit will come through. Spirit comes through. That is why it's also important that is why you'll find that when people are at a certain part of their spiritual journey, Amadlozi will bring a love for you to make you light, to make you receptive. Because when you're in love, you are so light. And your spirit is receptive.
Yeah.
That is why you find people that when at a point in their journeys they met this person, it was to trigger that, to get you through a point where you need that to get you through. And then our problem is that then we hang on to those things. And that was to help you get to the next place. But if they've given you a love and it's a love that works, that is beautiful. By all means, hang on to it. But it needs to keep you light. If it stops making you light, it starts being heavy and it makes you heavy, then maybe it's time for you to let it go. Because then it's now you're not receiving and it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing for you. That is why you find a lot of there's promiscuity, izangoma, this and this. It's about that light feeling where you need to be able to create, because we can't, where you need to be able to receive. So that's why I'm happy when each time I see you and I see that, okay, she's doing okay. That's how you move on to the next thing. If you don't share, if you don't unpack and take things out, because it's not just grief that makes us heavy, or yes, we grieve so many other things that make us heavy. Those things hold us down. They mess with our frequency. We're not able to then to receive. That's why it's also okay when people break up. Let that happen, man. Let people move on, because it's not working. If now you're heavy, then it stops you from, because if you're not light, even the things that you should be receiving physically, you're not able to receive, because the frequency is wrong. So we should stop hanging on to things that we should not be hanging on to. What you speak about at death. Let's bring my art in here now. So our hearts will be measured, or our lightness and our hearts will be measured on this feather, and that will be the determining factor if you move on or if you go back to start over. That's the light that we're speaking about. See how
it makes sense.
Yes, that's the light. That's the feather. That's what it is measuring. So that is why we need to thrive. That we live lightly, but also now, if you deal with spirit and with death, and it's easy to be heavy, because there's a lot of heaviness in the things that you actually deal with, and that is where also I'm at. I'm looking at myself, because I'm a very difficult person. I'm a very difficult person, and and I make no excuses for it. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
It's life has dealt me that card for having to deal with spirits, but I'm working at it, because I don't want to have expectations of people that weigh me down. I'm learning to let things go. If I'm learning to, because it's a continuous journey. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. When you actually say that you've arrived, you're lying. So we need to actually be able to constantly measure ourselves before we get to death, and now we are measured by this feather. We need to take a proactive interest in our lightness, always measuring our frequency, because then it also speaks to how then we live the rest of our lives, and then how then we move on. So I'm a work in progress as well.
What you're saying is that life is a journey of happifying yourself.
I like that. Yes.
That's the aim.
Yes.
Whatever makes you happy, that's what you go for.
Yes. Whatever makes you light. Whatever, happy, light. Because some people are made happy by, yes, you're right. Yeah, that's actually exactly it. However dark I may see it, if it makes you light, it will make you move on. It will
Yes.
guarantee your crossing if it comes at that time. Yes. So that is actually what it is. Because in spirituality, there's no, the morals and those things are religious things. Yes. All of those things that is about, it's all religiosity and in the spiritual space,
There's dark and light.
There's dark and light. And if we have our gogos that are doing, and they're happy in their dark, and it keeps them light, if it does keep them light, and it guarantees them a way forward, that they will be able to move on, then who are we to actually judge? Because spirituality doesn't judge. In spirit, there's no, people lived the way that they wanted to live. People do, where we say, which is part of the Ma'at laws, which comes from the Mteto Shoba comes from the Ma'at laws. The 10 Commandments also come from the same laws, right? So if we are able to live in that way, then it guarantees us that lightness. I hope that it actually, do you understand? Mm-hmm. I hope that we actually...
If you're watching your thoughts and your actions and your words, it's going to keep you.
Yes. So people should, I think that is what I would actually recommend and advise, is for people to actually find those art laws, learn them, so that you can live your life. The 10 Commandments, like I say, come from those laws. Which is very sacred, but it comes from those laws. If you're living in that way, whether you're a Sangoma, whether you are a psychologist, whether you're a nurse, then you're doing okay. And that is how we actually should. Then you're going to be light, and you're going to be able to move on.
You said something so important earlier on when you said that the sooner you deal with the grief and learning how to communicate with the person, the better it is. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, when I compared with my grandmother's journey, when my grandmother passed on, I was already on my spiritual. So it was completely different. Like, when she passed, I mean, there was the shock. But 3 days later, there was the glow that happened.
Yes.
There's a spiritual transfer thing that happens when you're ready to receive. But when you're still grieving, you don't give that spiritual transfer thing, which is probably why you're saying I'm light now in the past 6 months, because now with the Belete spirit, I've allowed that thing to, I am Belete now. Mm-hmm. So there is definitely a difference in how you deal.
And that difference also will be because you know now how to receive Moya.
Yes, when they transcend.
Yes. You know, you have an understanding that it's not the end. Because there's an understanding and then there's an understanding. Or there's a knowing and then there's an understanding. Or there's a knowing and a knowing. But it's one thing being told about it, but there's one thing also then living it and knowing that, yes, and now this person, them moving on, means that they have this vessel that is me now, that they can live through still. And give yourself as that vessel, that as we lay you down, as we bury you, and as I help and do the rituals that to help you transcend, there is this vessel that I am, that you are still here, you're still going to leave. Because as long as I am here, you are living. That was what is going to give you that glow, That is what is also going to make the grief lighter and shorter and easier, because you then take it in your stride. But when we are at a point where we are told that we can't even communicate with them because it is a sin, grief is going to be long. Yeah. It's going to be heavy, because my person has gone, and I'm not even allowed to speak with you because speaking with you is a sin. I'm not allowed to try to communicate with you in any way. I'm supposed to forget about you until I also pass on. So the contrast there is already
That's
obvious.
trauma straight.
Yes, exactly. That is what it is. So this set us up to just be traumatized. But our own spirituality makes it so much easier. It also prepares us for our own transition, a topic that we don't like to speak about. But as we see, people were always dying, but people are dying younger, people are dying since COVID, since the vaccine. These are topics that we try not to have, we avoid them, but we're going. It makes it even more important for us to start having those death conversations. Yes. Because there's going to be people that I'm going to leave behind that are going to grieve me, or they are going to grieve for me. So I need to start preparing them that this is what death is, actually. And I may not know completely and fully how this is going to work out, but I want to prepare you. I want you to know that I'm still going to be living through you, and give them and let them understand how we live through them, how my grandparents and my people still live through me. They need to have that understanding, because if they understand that, then it's not just spiritual mambo jumbo, and then it can be explained away by the Bible or be explained away by whoever. They have then that understanding that I am actually living through them, and it gives them that responsibility that Mama is living here, and Mama needs to keep living. This is what Mama would do. This is what Mama aspired for me and for herself. So this is now my responsibility, that she's living through me. This is how now we live, we go forward. It will not, each time she thinks of dragging this body, that now I am also living through, the only way I'm living through is through this body. She will stop and think, no, Mama would not have done drugs. My mom would not have. So it would make, the grieving would be different. It would make that process a lot more, it would refine it. It would make it easier. It would not take the pain away, because nothing can take the pain away.
Yeah.
But it will make it
Give meaning.
Yes. And you will also understand why I'm still here. I understand why I'm alive. Because I'm alive because there's people that are living through me, and they need to be alive. So I need to be able to do this and this and this. My dad would have stopped to pay school fees, my nephew, for instance. I need to be able to do that. I need to be able to know ukuthi umntwana wabhuti wami uyaya yini esikolweni. Mangabe angakhoni, there's something I need, because my brother is living through me, right? He's living through her. He's living through you and you and you, all of us that share blood. We should be able to carry on from where he left off. That is the responsibility that we have. So we need to come to terms with death, and the fact that what happens when we die, and the fact that we are also on the way, and the fact that it is happening now so much more frequently, and that loss and death is going to be a part of our lives. So we also don't have the luxury to just sit and be told that we can't do anything about our loved ones. We don't have that luxury anymore. We need to proactively look for ways in which to communicate, to keep that relationship going, so that it benefits them and it benefits us and it benefits our lineage, because, wow, our bloodline is all we have. Really and truly.
Thank you so much, Gogo. This was definitely one of my best conversations with you.
Togoza.
Thank you. It went so quickly. I know. Thank you
Togoza.
so much for sharing. That was so healing. And I'm sure the Moyarites are going to get a lot of
Togoza.
Siyabulela. Thank you so much for coming.
It's one of those natural conversations. That's what I like. And you've never seen me anywhere else. I don't do anything. Because I want to have a conversation, and I want to have it be about what I have. It be about me and my life, because we want to spiritualize things and make them so complicated, and that is what I see, and that is why people are not even understanding what it is that, yes, I've given myself, I said, yes, I'm willing, I'm a vessel, but they don't understand what they're going through because it's so spiritualized. It's so, where this is a spirit of who? This is a spirit of, this is a water spirit. This is what is actually, so we've complicated things, and I really am just trying to just make things so much easier, so much more livable, because this is a lived experience.
Yeah.
And it's the only way to be able to share. You can only share from your lived experiences. All these things that we learn from books, we can share those, but until we have embodied them, they don't mean anything to us.
Thank you, Gogo.
Tamaku. Thank you.
Moyarites, thank you so much for joining this beautiful conversation. It's always a pleasure to be with you. The bank details are on screen. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, because YouTube is not going to be pushing African content, so that's going to be your responsibility. We are recoding our DNA so that the future is better, guys. See you next time. You're such a beautiful audience. I love you, and thank you always.
Thokozile.
Who are you when all you were has been diluted by lies and white lines cancelling out all that which has been written of your history? Why do you look at yourself as a mystery? Doesn't the sun shine because you open your eyes? Doesn't the moon stay situated within the same stars your DNA sparkles off? Your spirit knows that surely corner into it off. Buza umoya so you may return to being well off. Because spiritually you are rich, yet your ancestors cry because you are out of reach. But yours is to command all elements, while God takes inspiration from the very mirror she looked at to become. Remember who you are, and never finish just when they think that with you they are done.